Okay, let's hear it. And if you know who you want to answer, you can say, and if you don't mind, someone will just grab it.
I have a question for Jordan. I notice when you are on stage, there is a state that you're almost in. And I really wonder how do you get there for yourself, and what is that state?
It's a good question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give me a second.
Yeah.
He's getting it straight.
Yeah, you need to think about it. So Florak, the thing with me is if I perform, I'm this type of performer that can only dance with emotion.
Yeah.
Else I can just leave and just do nothing. And I think that what you see, in the moment when you see that I'm in that certain state, that is this state of being, but at the same time, it's almost that in this era where all the emotions are, I'm in that. I'm in a state, but I also am in all of the emotions. So I become all of my emotions at the same time. And I think also when I dance, I tend to say that I'm a walking emotion. So if you really look at me, this gives a lot, but the body also tells a lot. And I also tend to believe that when I perform, I absorb. And that is what you also sometimes tend to see. So to answer your question, the state that you're seeing is me being my fully self with all my emotions, with my imperfections and my perfections. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It sure does, yeah. So wonderfully said, honestly. Like, what a beautiful... Yeah, well, we're glad you took a moment. It was totally worth it. Beautiful. Is there any more questions in the room? Yes, at the back, we've got somebody.
I don't really need a mic.
All right, great.
I know exactly who that is.
I'm a big boy. So
Great,
it's loud.
fantastic.
So, Waka, I had a question for you. You create these beautiful lines with metaphors and all these different things between the way that you write, but it's often different between cultural kind of leaning to more scientific leaning to then just factual leaning. I wonder where you get your inspiration for, you grasp that kind of spirit of your writing. I know that's a difficult question, but
It's a good one, though.
Beautiful question, and thank you for noticing these different cultures. I can just say welcome to my brain. All of these subjects and topics I grew up with, I'm interested in that. So if you were to go through my library, you would see the history of hip-hop. I'm older than hip-hop, right? I grew up with that. I grew up with music and a family of musicians and poets. I had my first anatomy book when I was 6 years old. So I'm really pulling from things that I'm passionate about. I'm a total geek and a hip-hop head, right? So all of these things come together, and then, by the grace, how things, happen, how creativity happens, and these multi-entendre spheres, it's like kind of architecture with that. I'm having a difficult time saying the thing.
I get you.
Right?
I'm right here.
Are we here? Are we here?
Yes, we're on the same page right now.
Okay, yeah. So playing with that to communicate the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, you do it in one of the most beautiful ways I've ever heard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the byproduct of being an only child.
Benefits. Beautiful answer, thank you. Just checking if there's a third question in the house. Yes, there is.
Hi, thank you so much to all the performers. It was really beautiful to see what came out of your collaborations. I have a question for Gina. I thought your text was really touching and relatable. And I was wondering whether you could tell us more about your project coming up in February.
Well, I can. I'm still waiting for a reply from Fun. No, so the play, because it will be performance, it has a really long title, but it's based on a lived experience of going through depression myself, and based on writings that I've collecting during that period. I started writing a dramatic text. So it will be based on that, but it will also be extremely physical. And I really took this opportunity to try to explore physicality of depression, stillness, nothingness with someone else. Thank you. Really, thank you. Because I also felt a little bit trapped in my thoughts and trapped a little bit in my own body. And I wanted to see what the words brought for someone else. So it was for me a very deep exploration of that and current themes that I'm working on. There will be, either way, if funds are coming or not, a public sharing on the 8th of February in Leiden, at a theater in Leiden. So, waiting for you.
I highly suggest you check it out, and I highly suggest the fund to fund you. They're not, they're making a mistake. Yes, let's all manifest that, please, for Gina. All right, let's see. Okay, we're going to take a last question over here, because you put such amazing vibes into this room tonight that I definitely think you should be the last question asker.
Evans. So, it's kind of like two questions.
Package them as one, please.
This question is for Mr. Phil from Canada. Like, how do you take your storyline and project it into the world where these fears and internal struggles can no longer be a sense of identity?
How long can I do a Jordan pause for?
You may take a semi-Jordan pause.
Semi-Jordan pause, okay. So, I think one thing that I was trying to capture with this story, and something that I've struggled with a lot in my personal life, is toxic masculinity. That, you know, I'm from a small town in Canada, predominantly, you know, a city, and there was a lot of ways where I learned masking as a form of surviving. And it took me a while to know what the difference between surviving in one way and thriving spiritually in another. And now, what's really heartbreaking is seeing this message that I really struggled with now reproduced in social media in this Sigma alpha male bullshit kind of thing that's going on, that I see that a lot of the younger people are consuming. And you know, it sucks that there's this trauma that I'm facing every single day, and it's popping up through my algorithm targeting me, and like I'm getting every morning I fucking wake up and there's on YouTube, there's like, hey man, you gotta grind, women are terrible, blah blah blah, and I'm like, it's so sad. So I think one, it's creating this wall effect where a lot of men are struggling to express themselves because now they're being villainized by this betrayal of them, which is only shoving them farther away. So if I could say anything, it's just like, let's really like recognize the struggle that exists in this replicated message that's really pushing boys to extremes, and in some cases causing them to do some pretty terrible things. So for me, you know, as I worked through this story many different times, I wanted to open up one about my own relationship to my mother, which I think a lot of boys struggle with. Because the mother's always trying to bring out the soul, always trying to bring out the spirit, and sometimes it's very threatening for a boy who's trying to, you know, make his way through high school. And yeah, just really sort of talk about, you know, what happens when the tower crumbles. And, you know, I'm also very inspired by tarot work, and so in my own way I was putting some symbology in there as well to sort of really look at that journey and hopefully help men especially see that journey within themselves, and hopefully they crack away from the algorithm and find a more authentic version of themselves that can learn to open up and love again.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for the beautiful question. And I actually, I want to close off, but I want to close off by staying with this image of the crumbling tower, because I think actually it's really a beautiful image that relates to all of you in different ways. I think you each had a tower that needed to crumble in order to construct a new one with your partner. And I think that all of you included, really achieved that this evening, and it was really an honor to watch you not only do it, but in the process of doing it as well, and opening up here in this Q&A on top of it. So I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for doing the work. Thank Word for having us, having you. Thank you, Paradiso. Thank you, Cosmos. Thank you, audience. And we still have a couple of minutes, so if you want to grab a quick drink and a quick chat before we get kicked out, you're invited to do so. And thank you for spending your Tuesday. It's a Tuesday, right? Your Tuesday with us here at Paradiso. Thank you so much.